Howdy folks, here's a part 3 video. So still over at the Myakka River State Park, but this time I'm at a bit of a different spot right now. So this little spot here is actually something called a bird walk. So the bird walk is what really allows people to have a chance to see some of the native or even migratory wading birds that come here to visit. So even for migratory bird, it can be a bit of a rest stop. You know, like think of it as a highway, right? So like, you know how we have our rest stops to either rest or get some food or even to drink. So in a sense, the same analogy applies to what's going on right here. So, noticeably, as I was walking through here just a little bit ago, I noticed there was some roseate spoonbill. That's actually a wading bird I pointed out in a video about a couple of weeks ago. And you can also find great blue heron, black-bellied whistling ducks, wood storks, and even turkey vultures. Those are just to name a few. But as it turns out, you know, Florida, from what is known so far anyways, there's about 25, 26 wading bird species that are actually native to here. I know it seems like the number is rather small, but it is true. And I'm sure there used to be more back in the day, but I'm sure extinction has unfortunately taken place with some of them. I gotta say, like today, it feels excellent out. It's not too humid, so I believe there is a little bit of a cold front that has come in because I can feel the wind. It's kind of coming from the northeast. But essentially, this body of water that you're seeing right next to me is the Upper Myakka Lake. So this is like one of the major reservoirs for the Myakka River. Essentially one of the places of where it starts. I mean, it doesn't directly start right here, but you could say this is one of the major contributors to the genesis of the river itself. And it's mostly brackish water. And this will travel all the way to the Charlotte Harbor. That's how I like to say it, in a bit of a New England accent. But I was also a bit daring, too, as you can see. I climbed along this live oak before me, and as you can see, it is very sprawling. It's quite remarkable how this is all one tree. Even the limb that I'm sitting on is still part of the tree. But you figure this live oak is probably at least 100 years old, if not older. But oftentimes, on live oak, it's one of the most common native trees to Florida. And with that being said, usually live oaks appear solitary. And they have to, because think of it. Because of how much they sprawl out, they need the space that they have to grow. Otherwise, if it was too surrounded, it would struggle. I mean, the tree would of course find a way, but with that being said, it gets a bit too aggressive, naturally speaking. Oftentimes, you will find Spanish moss right here. That's in my hand. And the thing is, this isn't a true moss. True moss is solitary. Or not solitary, but stationary. Excuse me. I mean, this is stationary too in a sense, but moss is actually attached to the bark. I pointed that out in one of my videos from earlier, where you could actually see true moss. But no, Spanish moss actually qualifies as an epiphyte, which basically means that it's an air plant. But rest assured, the Spanish moss doesn't act as a parasite. Rather, think of it this way. The tree is like the apartment, right? And then, essentially, since the tree is like the landlord, he's like, you can use this space, but you still have to provide your own food and water. So rest assured, Spanish moss achieves getting its own food and water. And they help use the tree so that they can get more sunlight and easily receive that any other leftovers of water that, of course, penetrates in the tree. So that's their means of getting what they need. They just use the tree as a foundation, but rest assured, they don't abuse it. They're like the tenant. And yeah, oftentimes, like on live oaks, you can see that they can grow quite large. And what's also neat too about Spanish moss is usually if you're here during the spring, I believe, there are individual flowers that can sprout from the Spanish moss. But you won't see them this time of the year. You usually see them during the springtime. Excuse me. Now, when I was referring to Betty Osceola, the mentor of my mentor, she was pointing out that Spanish moss, she's used it in her culture, the Mikasuki. She would use it as a means of making a pillow, or even using it sort of like a sponge. You can like pack it up and it turns into like a little ball, and you can essentially scrub whatever you need to clean something, whether it be a dish. So it even has some uses too, especially if you don't have handy resources in hand. Yep. It's just quite remarkable, just how large these live oaks can grow. And it's full of that Spanish moss too. It literally covers the tree. So alright, you guys. Hope you learned something of value in this video. My goodness, my hair is messy. Hope you learned something of value. And like I said, this Myakka River State Park is really worth the time to check out. Plenty of hiking trails, but the most well-known features at the state park includes the bird walk, as you can see, and that canopy trail that I was on just a bit ago. Like I said, you really have a chance to see a piece of old Florida. So thanks for watching, you guys. Enjoy your Sunday, and Journey on a Journey is outwards. Take care, folks. See ya.